Trav, and today we're talking about the IDIC of Star Trek. So I hope you sit back, like, follow, and subscribe. And this is a casual chat, so let's get into it. So in Star Trek, the IDIC is a Vulcan symbol, which the IDIC itself means infinite diversity in infinite combination. Now, this applies specifically to people and the people of Vulcan understanding and looking at the differences and considering them unique and an amazing sort of thing. Like it's something that I try to adhere to because I'm a Star Trek fan since I was 5 years old. But at the same time, I very much believe, and this is with Star Trek and with anything like that, that diversity and understanding people is important. Now, and on Facebook and on a lot of other websites, TikTok, which spawned me making this video, they were talking about trans people's rights and drag queens reading to children. Now, sexualizing a drag queen in a children environment isn't something that happens as far as I know. It's basically people reading stories about being yourself and being confident and understanding and looking at others, even if they're a little bit special. With trans people, it's what they want to be. It's what they feel they are with gender dysmorphia. Now, in Star Trek, and particularly and this is what I got from TNG and what I got from and Discovery and a lot of the Star Treks, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, gay, straight, it's just the way it is. There's an episode of TNG earlier on in the series where Riker falls in love with a species of people of whom are neither male nor female. And they're treated badly, and there's a whole core battle on it. And this is TNG. This is back in the late 80s, early 90s. And what we have is an amazing, for that time, metaphor on gays and lesbians and trans people. Skip forward, we have obviously Jadzia Dax, who is got a symbiote who's been in both male or female people. It's an operation they take on. She's essentially a trans character because she's partially not male or female. So there's an episode where she falls in love with one of her previous host lovers. When she was male, she loved this woman, and as a woman, she loved this woman. She was who she is. And to be Trill, you would have to be accepting of all different people. And they do play that where she has a murderer who is one of her previous hosts. In Enterprise, we obviously have stigma around T'Pol and mind melding and the AIDS epidemic. In Voyager, we have characters who are unique and special. In Star Trek Discovery, we obviously have our first gay couple, married couple, and it is great to see. We have our trans crew members and non-binary crew members. We have this representation. Now, what I don't understand is why this representation, when you talk to Star Trek fans, is they don't seem to get it. And I had one guy turn around and go, it's just a TV show. And it is a TV show, but you think about 60s Star Trek with an African-American woman on the bridge, with an Asian man on the bridge, very shortly after the Second World War. We had an amazing situation where we had representation of different cultures and species, and we're all going to space as a united human race. The other series talk about an amazing clarity. Like in the first episode of TNG, there is a guy wearing a dress, and there's no problem with that. And Gene Roddenberry was very integral in that first season, and I think that Gene Roddenberry's vision, as well as the IDIC's vision, is very much about people being treated with respect and with love, and celebrating their differences and their choices. Gene Roddenberry set up this universe to be open to change and open to diversity. Now, Picard obviously has a lesbian character. Lower Decks has Mariner, who is maybe bisexual or lesbian. She's only fallen in love with a woman, as far as I know. Prodigy hasn't had any of that because I think it's a kids' show. They'd probably steer away from it. But we've seen shows like Transformers do it. Star Trek is one of those programs that has been progressive and tries to be progressive throughout its entire life. Like every series deals with these different topics, these days more than ever. Now, what we're finding out is people who liked TNG in that era didn't really believe in the message of it. And because we're Star Trek fans, we love the message of Star Trek. And I being a gay guy and growing up and being LGBTQIA, for me, I use the infinite diversity and infinite combination as something that guides me being nice to people and treating everyone with respect and how I would like to be treated. What we're seeing on Facebook and in the American media at the moment is a lot of scaremongering and a lot of misunderstanding. And in particularly in America, and it's flowed over into Australia and into England for people who they don't know what drag queens are and they confuse them with trans anyway. Not all drag queens are gay men. They can be straight men, they can be straight women, they can be gay women, they can be gay, non-binary, they can be whatever they want. It's about dressing up in drag and just feeling a bit comfortable. If you want to see a good representation of like people not understanding, is Kim's Convenience. The difference in Kim's Convenience is he literally just asks a question because he doesn't understand. And that's the difference between people who like Star Trek and people who like Star Trek for its stories and people who love Star Trek for its message. I love Star Trek for its message because we want to see positive representation of these people. And we get that. And particularly, as much as people hate it, particularly in Star Trek Discovery, we get that representation, we get that understanding, we get that look at these characters. Two gay married characters is very rare on TV. Watching Stamets and Culber brush their teeth or just be in love as a couple is amazing. Taking in Blue and Adira, the way gay society does is if people don't accept you, you sort of take them in. Gays create their own families. My Star Trek teaches to think and to look at these things in a new light. Whether directly or metaphorically, Star Trek has always done this. And as a Star Trek fans, I think we need to be a bit more open to change and to growth and to the way things are. This has been my TED Talk, but this is a talk about the IDIC and what it means to me. And the IDIC means that no matter what, I try to learn. For example, with trans characters, I've not had much interaction with trans people in my life. But I actively went out and looked at people like Noah Fintz and Jamie Dodger or Jamie. And these are trans men, and I learnt about the decisions they went through, the choices they went through. And I don't understand everything completely because I'm a gay man. I would never understand it completely. But I'm at least trying to learn about these things. And I think it's important that you be open to learning. And that is what IDIC means. Infinite diversity and infinite combination. Differences and different combinations of things and different understandings of things and learning and changing and growing. That is what IDIC means. And that's kind of the philosophy of Star Trek. It is about a hopeful future, about treating everyone equally. Everyone is treated there's no money, so there is no poor or destitute or people treated badly. There's no discrimination on sex or gender. There's a lot of men on the shows, but that's more of a canal thing added in. But yeah, I think it's important to look at Star Trek as for me, something that taught me growing up to accept everyone for who they are. And if you don't subscribe to that, then why are you watching this show? And it confuses me to no end. So if you feel this way, be sure to write in the comments. If you support gays and trans and intersex and non-binary people, make sure to write that in the comments. Make sure to come back for more Trek Trav content. This one's been a bit of an ad hoc video, but that's okay. I hope to see you next time, and make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. I have been Trek Trav, and have a good night/day.